My college roommate turned my meal prep into her meal plan, so I served her the Last Supper. Jess and her friends picked through my food like vultures on a carcass, except the carcass was my grocery budget and they were killing it weekly. I'd spend 4 hours every Sunday meal prepping and labeling each container with my name in black Sharpie like a crime scene investigator, turning $20 of clearance meat into my only shot at eating until Friday's paycheck. The worst part was how they'd pause mid-bite when I walked in, not with guilt, but with annoyance, like I was interrupting their meal by existing in my own kitchen. At first, I blamed exhaustion when I noticed containers missing from my Monday lineup, figuring I'd forgotten to prep them or eaten them during some late-night study haze. By October, the theft had evolved into a full-scale operation. I'd come home from my closing shift at Target around midnight, exhausted and starving, only to find empty containers in the sink and Jess sprawled on the couch watching Netflix. By November, I walked in on them mid-feast with 3 girls I'd never seen before passing around my teriyaki chicken bowls like they were sharing appetizers at Applebee's. The one with the purple hair actually had the nerve to tell me I should open a food truck because this shit is fire, while actively chewing my Tuesday dinner. I asked them to stop eating my food, and Jess just shrugged, saying she thought I'd made extra to share. The pattern worsened through winter. Sometimes they'd leave untouched broccoli containers like a serial killer leaving their signature at a crime scene. I tried everything, including buying a mini fridge for my room, but my RA said it was a fire hazard. I put locks on my containers, but they just threw the whole thing away, claiming they thought it was old food. By finals week, I was buying McDonald's every night because coming home to an empty fridge felt like opening a rejection letter over and over. The breaking point came in early December when I'd splurged on salmon for my post-exam meals. I walked in after my accounting final to find Jess and 4 friends having what they called fancy dinner night with my entire week's worth of honey-glazed salmon. One girl actually asked if I could write down the marinade recipe because her boyfriend would love it. That's when something inside me shifted from frustrated to strategic. I remembered this night about 4 months earlier when we'd all been watching Fear Factor in the common room during one of those forced dorm bonding events. When the eating challenge came on showing contestants forcing down sheep eyeballs or whatever, Jess had literally gagged and announced to everyone that she'd rather forfeit $1 million than put anything gross in her mouth because she had such a sensitive stomach. Her friends had agreed, talking about how they couldn't even look at the meat section in ethnic grocery stores without feeling queasy. I knew exactly what I had to do. I went home for winter break and told my mom everything about the food thieves and exactly what I planned to do about it. Her eyes lit up like Christmas morning, and within an hour we were driving to Henderson Farm, where her cousin sold specialty cuts nobody else would touch. Mom marched straight to the back cooler and asked for 2 pounds of fresh pig brains while I tried not to think too hard about what we were doing. Back in her kitchen, she showed me how to boil them first, until they turned gray and lumpy with little white bits throughout, then mixed them with ground pork so they'd hold together in the sauce. The texture was absolutely perfect, exactly what cooked brain matter should look like, and we packed that massive pot of authentic brain spaghetti into my meal prep containers, like we were loading ammunition for war. I didn't have to wait long because these girls had the self-control of toddlers in a candy store. 3 hours after I'd strategically left for my shift, I walked back in to find exactly what I'd hoped for. Jess and 2 friends were standing in our kitchen with the massive pot between them, practically licking their bowls clean. The girl with the nose ring was actually scraping the sides of the pot with her spoon trying to get every last bit. She looked up when I walked in and started gushing about how this was even better than my usual stuff, and she needed to know what kind of meat I used because the texture was so unique and tender. I set down my backpack and smiled, that kind of smile you save for moments when the universe finally delivers justice. Oh, that's my grandma's special recipe using pig brains from the farm. Super healthy, actually. She lived to 95 eating this stuff twice a week, so I've been putting her exotic recipes in all my meal prep for months now. The nose ring girl's spoon hit the floor before I even finished the sentence. She made this sound between a gag and a scream, then sprinted to our bathroom. The other girl just stood there with sauce on her chin and her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Jess dropped the entire pot in the sink and ran after her friend, and I could hear the beautiful symphony of synchronized vomiting echoing down the hall. Nobody touched my food for the rest of the year, and Jess started exclusively eating sealed protein bars like she was preparing for the apocalypse. The girls who used to raid my shelf now spent their grocery money on therapy instead. Turns out pig brains cost $12 a pound, but watching entitled people become afraid of spaghetti was absolutely priceless.